if your name could be swapped with anyone else's on your post, then it's not a post and it's just,
Yeah.
make believe.
Yeah. Then anybody could write it, and
Yeah.
nobody wants
Yeah.
to read that. Nobody wants to see that.
Yeah.
My guest today is a LinkedIn hero of mine, and her content and her comments and the battle that she fights as the hero we both need and want keep me going. Her name is Magali Daru. I don't want to do that. Magali Daru. We'll call her Jennifer today.
Oh,
No, Magali. Magali,
yes.
Magali.
Magali.
It's like
Yes.
a
Yes.
accent there. Magali,
Yeah.
Magali. Okay, so she is a personal brand strategist, a ghostwriter. She's based in Belgium. She's worked with some amazing brands. Forbes. She's covered South by Southwest, Coca-Cola. She's given a TEDx speech. In her personal work, she fronts what she calls the personality first engine, which is a way for your personality to come through in the content you make to lead to clients and revenue. It's really interesting because I'm targeting a lot of different levels of LinkedIn creators. Magali is at almost 40,000 followers, which is a significant amount of followers, but I'm hoping that she can shed some light on what she's seen throughout her journey. Recently, I just saw this, by the way, recently named #1 personal branding rank on the platform, right? That came out like a couple days ago. So I'm so glad to have you on the call today. Magali, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. What of that amazing intro that I just gave, what do you want people to know about you? What do you want people to know about what you're doing on LinkedIn?
Yeah. So I developed a personality first methodology engine, or, call it whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
But the thesis is that personality first doesn't mean personality only. It's
Mm,
just that expertise is table stakes at this point, right? Because AI and commoditize this
yeah.
faster than ever. And people are, I think, trust is evaporated completely, and people are so much more likely to trust you when you lead with your you. And this is interesting because just the other day I ran a workshop on 3 of my posts that brought in K in June, and those were all so personal.
Yeah.
I talked about PTSD, talked about scared that I was going to lose my dad, that him turning 70 years old started a different countdown in my head. And those posts, I mean, it's been happening for 10 months now. When I started rebuilding back in August, I noticed that the personal posts are always the ones to attract people willing to work with me. Of course, they're gonna have a look and see, hey, is she legit? Is she
Yeah.
who she work with? But the thing that makes them reach out is the personal bit. The more specific, the better. So I'm unapologetically myself.
Yeah.
And this is so liberating because building a brand, I want to do it honestly, and I want to do it in a way that it's not just kind of cathartic for me and also incredibly liberating, but also helpful to others. So I don't treat LinkedIn as a diary. I see it as an outlet, like a building in public kind of thing, I
Yeah.
guess. But I always want to make sure that there's something in there for the reader as well. It could be educational value, but there's could also be like my insights building a solo business.
Yeah.
I guess that's my thing. And I will tell you, it's scary, but for me, sorry, I know you didn't ask a question, maybe
No,
just
keep
keep
going.
going.
Yeah.
This is what I do at Babel until someone stops me. But
Don't stop.
yes. So the first week I started posting every day and working on my positioning. Just 7 days in, someone who just left Netflix reached out to me and wanted to work with me, and we did. And this is pretty huge for a girl from Belgium, right? And this
Yeah.
was because of my most raw post that I ever published about getting ripped off. I was in a bad place.
Yeah.
And I realized that the more I started to write about it, about me and where I wanted to go, where I wanted to take this brand, the more I started to become it. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's the true core, the essence of personality first branding, is that it's not just post and shiny visuals and infographics. It's 100% identity work.
Gosh, I have like 1,000 questions I want to ask on everything you just shared. It was so good. Okay, a couple things. Let's go to the personal piece because you just talked about that in terms of the mix of, hey, it's not your diary, but like people want the real you to show up to. I want to go first to you obviously have a comfort or maybe a struggle that you've overcome with being that personal. Like, what would you say to that person who is like, I want to be that open, but I'm scared? what would you say to that person? Because like I think there are a lot of those people out there who want to be more real, but are either just terrified of it or scared they're going to lose their job or scared it's not going to land right. Like, what would you say to that person?
I would say fucking embrace it because either that or therapy.
Okay,
I'd
probably
suggest
maybe
that's it.
both. Everyone
Maybe
should be
both.
in therapy, but you know,
Yes, yes. And especially please go to therapy before, someone has to go to therapy because of you. That's
also good
entirely different
advice.
stuff.
Also good
Yeah, for
advice.
sure. But what I'm getting at is that if this thing I'm about to publish, if it doesn't make me feel
Oh,
slightly uncomfortable,
yeah,
I'm not publishing it because
yeah,
that's the point. And if there's no fear, there's nothing at stake. And what you want is to kind of feel, but trusting the process kind of thing. I know it sounds very like fluffy, and I want to be that person, but I mean, if it doesn't feel scary, then it's not much, there's no value in there for you because
yeah.
if this is how you appreciate it, right? And I see this, it's not just LinkedIn, it's just everything in life. If it doesn't freak me out a little, then I'm not doing it because that's the whole freaking point.
Yeah. I think about that, like, because the longest time I struggled with that too, where I would like pull my punches, right? Like I'd have like a take on something and they'd be like, no, let me go middle of the road, right? And
Oh yeah.
nobody wants more of that, right?
Yeah.
And the ones where I post true emotion, I feel very passionate about something, that reach the most like at the end of the day, LinkedIn is still a social platform, is still a social media platform. So there needs to be some way to engage with people. And I'm not saying that you need to hook bait people with emotion, but that type of honesty is going to get people interested. And if you're trying to help somebody and you're trying to connect, you need to make that connection first. If you write a bland post that could be very helpful for somebody, there's a chance that they may not see it. And so there's a
Yeah.
balance there, I think, that is hard for people.
But also, people are, and this is human, right? We want to be liked by everyone. We want everyone to like us and to be loved. But I always tell my clients, people I work with, a strong personal brand is supposed to both attract the right type of audience
Yeah.
as well as repel the wrong kind of audience. If
So
you're putting
good.
people, yeah, so good job. Because I know for a fact that I'm not for everyone. And I'm like, good. Of course, some of the ugly DMs I've received, of course they stung. I mean, I'm not going to lie about that. But then I always remind myself, okay, this is a great filter. My brand is working, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I love.
The other question that I thought of when you opened with your statement around how you show up and what's working is this idea that I've heard tossed around from a couple of different people is the difference between thought leadership used to be what was good on LinkedIn, right? Like you go back a couple years, and I feel like I started posting in 2019, which feels like 70 years ago in LinkedIn years.
Yeah.
Like it makes me feel so
In
old.
LinkedIn years are done.
Yeah,
I
I
don't,
know, right? Like I'm a zombie. But like thought leadership was a thing, right? You post something, you share something about like your space, what you're doing. And AI kind of wiped that out in terms of being useful, right? Like thought leadership is
yeah.
helpful in a certain spaces, but more now what I'm seeing helpful and what's resonating with people is what they're calling experience leadership or like experience thoughts. Like I did this or I experienced this or I failed at this and this is what you can learn from it or what we can all learn from it. And it's not like just, turning everything into I got engaged and here's what it taught me how B2B. It's like, hey, I got in front of these people and I could not remember the first line of my speech.
Yes.
And this is what, at the end of the day, that sucked, but here's what I learned from it. I think that there's such a space for people to share those stories and be like, here's what I experienced. Especially when you said sharing your work as you're going through it. There's too many, like, I just get tired of the people who are like, I grind, at nine, what is it, 996, 9 hours a day, whatever, 9 to 9, 6 days a week, and I do all this. I'm like, that's not me. I want the person who's grinding, but doing it in a relatable way.
Yeah, so my coach recently, so I was struggling with this myself because I love doing this work. I'm so passionate and I genuinely find it so hard to switch off at the end of the day.
oh yeah.
And he said, you're allowed to, not wanting to switch off completely. It's totally allowed. You're someone who hustles with intent. I love that because
Yeah.
that's exactly what I do. And to your point about experience driven thought leadership, I mean, you're spot on because people, and this is a problem, people by default, people are like, okay, what do I have to write in order for me to sound smart or
Yeah.
knowledgeable? But that's not what you want. You want to be relatable. And so, in order for you to be relatable, my hook, always leads with a specific moment. I rewrite it 100 times, but it always starts something like, last week I did this,
Uh-huh.
and the way I feel, the way I see it, I feel like it's if your name could be swapped with anyone else's on your post, then it's not a post and it's just,
Yeah.
make believe.
So let's go back to the kind of beginning. You talked about getting ripped off and then kind of betting on yourself, and then that person from Netflix reached out. Was there another moment where you're like, holy crap, this might actually work? Like, I could actually do this? Like, what was one of those other moments beyond the Netflix moment for you where you're like, this is a real thing? Like, LinkedIn could actually take off for me?
It was when I started doing more discovery calls back in August, one of my first weeks, they'll be posting every day. And I was repeatedly told that like, hey, you're the same person on calls you are online. It's the same person. You're not, I mean, it's the real you. You're just one person.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't believe that's a compliment or that's a differentiator
That you're
these
shocked
days.
by
But
that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And for me, it's like, I couldn't imagine anything else. And people will ask me, how do you switch off professional Magali and turn on personal Magali? And I'm like, I don't. It's the autism probably. There's only one me, right?
Yeah.
So I don't bullshit. And again, I know I'm not for everyone,
Yeah.
and that's good. So I guess that when people started telling me that they were pleasantly surprised by that, I knew, hey, this shit might actually work.
That's wild. I love
Yeah.
that too because you're the same person you are in real life as you are online. I think that's probably one of the best compliments a person can get, right? Like you are not
Yeah.
a different person. That's a feature, not a bug. But like so many people
Thank you
think
so much. Yeah,
that,
this is actually one of my exercises,
no,
but
you're
this is
good.
one of the exercises I run with clients, the from flaw to feature exercise. And you know what that entails? It's actually minding your cause by talking to friends, pulling up
Yeah.
meeting notes or whatever, and figuring out what is my hill to die on? How do
Mm.
I talk? What words do I use? I was on Jasmine's community, Jasmine Allen,
Yeah.
and he said that whenever he heard someone talk about Labrador, he immediately thinks of me because I compare myself to like an enthusiastic, playful Labrador. And, that's it. Like the Labrador, criminally honest,
Yeah.
weaponize your weird. These are usually mine. And this is how you
Weaponized
can
your
tell that
weird. I love
that a
that.
post was written by me. And so for flaw to feature, oftentimes the thing that you were told to tone down, in my case, autism and ADHD, is the
Yeah.
thing that is the very thing that determines how you work today and what sets you apart. And what you said, to your point earlier, you said, I always, kind of like how to nuance my post. That's exactly it. That's what we're taught. Like, if there's something too strong, potentially offensive, we need to tone it
Yeah.
down. And I'm like, fuck that.
Yeah. I think about it like the so I have 4 little kids, and I think about, like, just growing up, like, when you're a little kid, you want to do everything you can to fit in. Like, you wanna be like
Yeah.
everybody else, and that is, like, the greatest travesty I think we have in, like, raising younger
Oh,
generations or
yeah.
just, like, in ourselves, like, as we age, like, you want everything to do to blend in, and what you don't realize is when you get older, like, those things that make you unique, that makes you interesting. That sets you
Yeah.
apart.
Yeah. And I love that you're, as a father, you're aware of this because I'll tell you, I've been bullied up until I was 18, and it was horrible, and it
Yeah.
accounted for so much trauma. And it's very weird because when all through my childhood, I was lonely. I would feel lonely because all I wanted was to belong somewhere. And now I
Yeah.
feel lonely because I don't want to belong with the big crowd, the in crowd anymore. I proudly wear the outcast
Yeah.
badge, I guess.
And that's the hardest thing, especially like, as a parent, like, it's the hard because like, I'll even catch myself, like, thinking about my kids individually. I have 2 boys and 2 girls, and I'll be like, "Gosh, I just want them to blend it." Like, I will think that, I'm like, "No, no, 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 no." Like, they need to be, like, their individual selves, and it's hard because it's such a journey, and when they're struggling, you just want that, like, the struggle to go away, but I was like, I'll tell both boys and girls, I'm like, "You like, if it's not working out, like, you just haven't found your people, like, right? You're just not in the right circle yet, and that's okay." Like, that's hard for a kid who's 10 or
Yeah.
8 or 6. That's hard to hear,
And
but
you
I
only have
believe
your
in that.
reasons too, right? Because you probably you love harmony. You're likely
Yeah.
to. Sorry, this is the unsolicited
No, yeah.
psychoanalysis. You
I
didn't ask for.
always want harmony. I have 4 kids. They're screaming and crying all the time. If I can get more harmony, I'm looking for it.
Yeah, but because of for a long time I was the opposite until
Yeah.
I, did years of therapy, went through years of therapy, but I would always fight. I would always like stir the pot of wanting to kind of be abrasive. I'm so glad I'm not that person anymore, but I did find the middle ground, which is somewhere in between wanting to challenge the status quo and making sure that if there's one person who gets to be themselves because of my content, then my job is.
That's a win. Yeah, and I think it's hard going back to your comment about being abrasive or confrontational. I think that's a lonely road if you're not with your people. Because I think about it, like my wife and I talk about it because I was a little bit different as a kid too, but I was okay because I found my group early and I'm still friends with all these people. So there was a comfort in that where that felt safe and I could be myself. And if you don't have that, it's hard, right? Like it sounds like you had some of that
Yeah,
experience and it makes it
yeah, oh
that
God.
much more difficult.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it is.
so I don't think AI is the enemy, right? Like it is a enemy depending on how it's used. And I think the problem is it's a crutch for laziness. And so if you were
Yeah,
lazy before, now you might not look lazy, but you're just lazy at scale. And that's not helpful for
yeah,
anything. So like it's created rampant laziness and it's way too easy to make claims that you can't actually back up.
yeah.
I don't know if
Oh
you
my
agree with
God,
that or
yeah.
like what are you seeing? Because like we see it everywhere. Just copy pasted Claude or ChatGPT posts. People like gaming the system and creating these bots or whatever to like, I made this Claude bot. Now I never have to do cold calls again. BS. Like,
Like,
no, like I know I made, $2 million last Tuesday. So like, what is your take on all of that?
my take is that this is a very severe case of liabilities, which is the tendency to continuously make stuff up. No, in all seriousness, I feel like I use AI every day.
Yeah.
Like English is not my first language. I have audit my stuff, polish my posts, whatever. But I feel like the real danger of AI is that people want the finished stuff, like the final
Yeah.
stage of the thing. But and what I see is that made production faster, sure, but production was never the bottleneck here, right? I feel like thinking was the bottleneck, and I feel like the love for knowing how to do how to manage or work a certain craft, I feel like it's dead, right? Because everyone, I think, for speed,
Yeah.
and I feel like we're at this point that without thinking, speed has become a liability essentially,
Yeah.
and um, your audience can tell. Your audience can always tell. So I use AI to speed up the way I run my business
Yeah.
and how I write, but I always start, the first draft's always mine.
Yeah.
Always.
So yeah, I wanted to ask like how are you using AI? Because I think that's something that people like it's something that you can go away from if you want, but like done right, it helps you be more efficient. It helps you be organized. For me, like, and I think for a lot of people who create content or who write, like staring at a blank screen is one of the hardest things to do. And so I love like telling it like, hey, I write about, my experience in the military. I write about, selling. I write about being a parent. Like
This is so cool. Your
generate.
experience in the military. You should talk about that
Yeah,
more in your content.
I need to bring it up a little bit more.
Dude, looks like you should join my community.
There you go.
Incoming promo, bit of the podcast where I invite you to join my community is
Love it.
amazing and all that. No, seriously, you can use AI for cross-referencing.
Yeah.
I developed a cloud skill, the content miner, and I
Ooh,
have it
nice.
mine my week for moments, experiences, and it really connects my positioning to my everyday moments and finds connections
Yeah.
and links that I may have missed. So I even use AI in a very early stage of, finding what to write about
Yeah.
or the final stage of
Yeah.
editing. But I mean, you can tell, and it's not just LinkedIn because LinkedIn penalizes stuff,
Yeah.
but it's
Now,
also your
now it does.
audience. There's a woman on LinkedIn, Karen Kluss. I don't know if you've
I
come
don't.
across
I
her,
don't know her.
but she's hilarious. And like a couple months ago, her post would just consist of the AI formulaic phrases. She would write just a post, this resonates, or the real shift happens when, just that. And this is so hilarious
I love
because,
it.
yeah, so it's kind of mocking the AI bros. Yeah, I mean, I don't trust people who rely too much on AI
Yeah.
for their content.
So the way I do it is I'll tell it like I'll give it kind of my lanes, right? My buckets of content and be like, help me come up with like, hey, I need to write like I want to write 9 posts in this sit down session. And it'll be like, hey, talk about this, talk about this. And then I'll go, I use, Whisper Flow, like the talk to
Yeah, I love
so I
Whisperflow.
so I'll do that for my post because then it's just me talking and is a more conversational, like I'll be like, okay, the topic is, a lesson I learned when I was doing this in the military. And then I'll just talk to the post. And that has been way better for me than like even having it write the first version of the post. Like, cause I did that for a while and I was like, and then I'd go back and change it. I was like, no, this still like, I don't write like this. Like, this is not me. So that's been a journey for me. And like now I'm in a much happier place where like I'll get the ideas and then just talk. And it might be too far on the other side where like my posts are like way too conversational and maybe ramble a little bit, but I would prefer that than it's not the lessons I learned. It's, XYZ, it's not X, it's Y. And I was like, ah, we got to stop that.
But yes,
Like,
my
stop
God,
that.
I've, grown so tired of those.
I want to bring it back to the work that you do, the business that you run. Tell me about a client that you've worked with when you saw them go from forgettable to it was starting to click for them. They were starting to get business. Walk me through an example of that.
So I started working with a speaker, a former breast surgeon, Liz O'Riordan.
Okay.
She's British, but she's very knowledgeable, but she's also very British essentially. And
Okay.
she used to suffer from the um everything is going great in the workplace. And when we started working together, results didn't come as fast as I would have hoped initially because it's identity work, because she was too scared to show up as her true self,
Yeah.
because she'd been punished for that for too long. And we had like lots of coaching sessions about this, about imposter and all that. And the more she started to show up as her true self, the more opportunities came mulling in. And next thing you know, I'm on the Times, the paper calls me, and I talked to them about personal branding and vulnerability and all that. And I introduced Liz to the Times, and her content got featured. And
That's
it's such
awesome.
a beautiful full circle moment.
Yeah.
And I feel like, sure, she's gotten more speaking gigs, and sure, she's, her impressions gone, through roof, but I feel like getting the confidence to show up accordingly, both online and offline, is so much more valuable.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that. And but for me personally, I had a client recently get a 25K gig from LinkedIn, Substack. So for me, it's not just LinkedIn. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
LinkedIn focused, but it's not.
Right.
Time and time again, I notice that personality first, even if you don't have my personality, because I'm, I said before, I'm a Labrador, I'm extroverted and all that, but it works for introverted people too. You just got to show up as your real you, quirks and all. It doesn't matter if it's loud or quiet.
Yeah.
She did, and it's rewarding her in every possible way. And I love it. Typically, I love it when I tell a client to hit publish and they're like, no, no, I mean, it's too performative. I'm like, I promise you,
Yeah.
publish it and good things will come out of it. And it always happens that someone reaches out, someone books them
Right.
to speak, someone books them for a consulting gig. It works. And that's, for me, the best validation that my methodology doesn't just work for my personality, but also for other people with
Yeah.
different personalities.
Yeah, you're almost a therapist for them, like giving them the
Yes, and
permission to like
yes,
be
yes.
themselves,
And there,
not just in LinkedIn, but that's
yeah.
gonna
Yeah,
have
and
bleed over into their life.
that's what I would tell them. I'm therapist adjacent. So
So one thing you mentioned there in terms of the post taking off and working like your client finding their voice, what is the guidance you give to people when they talk about like I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I want to go viral." And I'm like, "Okay, well, that's great. LinkedIn is a social network. There needs to be some level of engagement with the post." But there's a difference between going viral and having a post that resonates and leads to opportunities or revenue. Like how do you look at the difference there?
I get this question a lot. It's not always an either or situation. I feel like you can go viral if it aligns with what you do and if it's within your lane, so to speak. But LinkedIn actually punishes you for, I mean, there's personality first positioning and messaging, but there's also personality only. And if you're focusing on just the expertise part,
Yeah.
you're a commodity. But if you focus on just the personality part, then you're an influencer. So you need both.
Yeah.
And you can go viral. And I mean, I've gone viral. I went viral with some of my most personal posts. But I've also watched people go viral with a stupid joke that has nothing to do with
Yeah.
what they do, who they are. And their reach the next few days, it tanks
Yeah.
because
It's not the right,
LinkedIn doesn't know what LinkedIn
doesn't know
doesn't
what to
know
do with
what.
it.
Yeah, and vanity metrics. Oh my god, LinkedIn is like a slot machine, and I fall victim to that
Same.
too. Right now,
Same.
the algorithm is kind of on a bender, and
Yeah.
yeah, I feel
It's
like
been
even
on
my
vacation too
reach.
long and it's sunburned. You're like, okay, LinkedIn, it's time to go
Yes,
home. Get back
yeah,
to
like go
go to,
on,
yeah.
buddy. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I have a coach. I have different coaches, and they tell me like, look at your number, look at your revenue. But it's
Yeah.
so hard because when you grow as fast as I did over the past few months, I feel like it doesn't get easier.
Yeah.
There's just more
There's
at
just higher
stake for me.
expectations. Like,
Yeah, like the goalpost keeps moving.
I think about this too because it's like, look, if I want to help people with LinkedIn and I have a post that gets like 200 impressions, I'm like, man, like that's not great. Like that's not,
Yeah.
you don't want to be.
I had a look at your LinkedIn though, and I can tell you what you're doing wrong in
Oh,
like
I'm
2 minutes.
I'm doing
And
a lot
it,
wrong. Let's hear it. Go, hit me.
so your hooks could have been written by anyone.
That
It
makes me
doesn't lead
sad.
with a moment. It doesn't, there's nothing at stake. It doesn't
Yeah,
cost
there's no
you anything
stakes.
to write this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're broadcasting, you're not engaging. Sorry to you, but
No, I need to
this
hear it.
is this is a hard reality check, and this is I told hundreds of my clients, people I've worked with, is that this is in your case, it's not an algorithm problem. You are the problem,
Yeah.
which is the great news because
Yeah.
you can solve it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know.
Sorry, I know this.
I know what you mean. I
You
love
can talk
this.
this.
Absolutely not. We need to get better. That's part of the process. Well, I kind of told you, it's like like I default to like safety
Yes.
and I'll have these ideas and I'll write them down and then I'll just sort of whitewash them. And it doesn't, you said there's no stakes. And I thought about something you
Yeah.
said kind of in the middle of our conversation was like the posts that resonate and do well and have an impact, they have stakes involved in them. Like
Yes.
they have
This
stakes
is
involved in
actually
them.
you can use one of my infographics is about play, a
Mm.
hook framework that helps you write specific hooks with something
Yeah.
with some stakes, with some cost. So I can definitely recommend that.
Well, I mean, I think we need to continue the conversation about what'd you say the next like cohort that you're doing or the next your community?
Community, yeah,
Yeah,
you can totally join, dude. You should. It's evergreen.
I love it. There was something I was going to ask. Now I can't remember what it was. That was some good advice. So I appreciate you sharing that. I'm always trying to improve. Oh, I remember what it was. So it was like, the difference between going viral and like having
Yeah.
something that resonates. And like the post that I've had do the best was like a complaint about the airlines and like luggage. Nothing to do with LinkedIn writing or like selling or anything like that. I was just mad at the airport. So again, I have a wife and 4 kids, and we were checking 6 bags, and one of them was over the weight limit. And I was like, can we just let
Oh
this go?
gosh.
So I was like super mad. I was like, I'm going to post this to LinkedIn, and it blew up, but nothing to do with being yourself on LinkedIn and having systems and something that I want to be known of. Whereas I'll have a post about that like maybe gets 1,000 impressions, and somebody's like, hey, I saw that. I'd love to work with you. And I'm like, okay, there we go. That's what's supposed to happen
Yeah.
when you do it the right way.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And like the more personal post, I don't know how familiar you are with content buckets, where you get like the top of funnel, middle of funnel,
Yeah.
bottom of the funnel,
Yeah.
or I like to call personal proof prologue content. Um, there's like a rule of thumb that says that when you're with personal posts, they are much more likely to get better reach because it appeals to a bigger
Yeah.
audience. But for me, I started applying those very personal hooks to my expertise, to my proven promo content as well. And it gets better results
Yeah.
because people are longing for humanity. You have no idea.
Okay, I've got a couple questions that I want to ask around like help. Like again, I want this to be helpful for people. So, first question is, let's pretend that I am a Claude bro, and all I do is post the whatever Claude tells me to do, and it tells me that I'm so smart and handsome. What is your advice for that person who's like stuck in that, who like can't get out of like I only know how to do what Claude tells me to do? Like, what's your advice to that person to clean their act up?
Broken. No, I would say, I would actually, this is what I would do like the therapy adjacent work. And I go like, why have you automated yourself out of your work?
Yeah.
And I would start there because these people, like I said before, they will optimize for speed, but they won't optimize for quality.
Okay.
So I'd start there. And then I would go, what makes you irreplaceable? What makes you incopyable? It's not that prompt. It's not that AI agentic setup, whatever. It's usually, you know, maybe there's like a hidden scar in there. Like, why do you feel like you need to always go faster and, at the cost of quality? Like, could be like there could be a story in there. And I would probably start there.
Yeah, I think that first question of like, why are you removing yourself from the equation is
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
something,
100%.
not only just how are they creating content, but like how are you running what you're doing and how do you still be a part of it? Okay. Next is like two things that someone can do this week to sound more like themselves on LinkedIn or to like, to level up their LinkedIn. What should they be? What are two quick things other than maybe, joining your community or signing up for one of your services?
I would say, what is your so if you want to start, if you want to write a post, I would just say start from sharing a moment as if you were talking to a friend, if you were telling it to a friend. So for me, it could be yesterday, I was invited to a podcast conversation and it made me realize so and so. And I would call it because a hope is never supposed to do like a full reveal.
Yeah.
So I would rewrite this a million times. But I would tell them to start there. And then it's usually one or two lines. And then you can use AI. You can literally prompt Claude and go, how could this tie back to my positioning? How could
Yeah.
what connection is there? And start from there and start writing. Learn how to write first because honestly, it's not just cathartic and free therapy, but it's also how you learn to judge whatever Claude puts out in the first place.
Yeah.
So that would be my advice. Start with a real moment and work from there.
You said it earlier. I think it was some version of like person plus purpose, but like there's a personal piece to it, but then like a purpose behind the
Yeah,
post.
yeah, personality and expertise is
Okay,
authority.
yeah.
Was it that?
Okay. Who else should I interview for this show if we want to continue providing great content and great value to people? Who are two people you'd recommend?
I would probably recommend. Are you aiming for the big shots or
I want who are the two people you thought of? Like it can be big, it can be little.
I would probably
Who
recommend
would you want to see?
interviewing. Oh, I would love to see. There's this guy. He's brilliant. He's in go to market. Douwe Wester. He's Dutch.
Okay,
I can do an introduction if you want.
please.
Oh, I was in that insane industry. There's Zach Roberts,
Okay,
who's also doing some great work, and probably Jacob Peggs. He's like my email funnel,
okay,
and he's a great coach, and you would love it.
okay. All right. Well, I'll
So I
ask.
can make those
Yeah,
introductions if you
please,
want.
please do. That would be great. Again, this has got to be there's got to be like team good. We've got to be like the Avengers of LinkedIn. There's got to be a team good
Yes.
guys, right? It's like
Yep.
in my initial outreach, I was like, I see you as the Wonder Woman of LinkedIn. Like you're
Oh
defending
my.
us
Yeah,
against
I
the
love
AI
that.
slop.
I love that. Yeah, that made my day.
This was a phenomenal conversation. Thank you for
Yeah, how
sharing
did
so
I do?
much. You shared so much. I've got a lot that I have to go work on after this. So I appreciate you giving me the harsh feedback. I love it. And I want to get better. That's part of it, right? You
Oh,
got to be open to it. You don't get better if you just, like, if I went and asked Claude how I was doing, it said that I'm great and handsome. And so
yeah,
sometimes that's
yeah,
helpful, but most of the time it's not. Um,
yeah. It will go. You're absolutely right.
yeah. Great point there.
Yeah. Oh
Just
my
spot
goodness.
on. So thank you so much for saying yes to joining me. Thank you for
Thank you for
being
having me.
authentically you. I will follow up with some clips that you can share. And this should not be our last conversation. I'd love to connect and figure out
Yeah.
how I can level up my LinkedIn game and point more people towards you to help you and help them.
Thank you so much, dude. I had a blast.